is up, y'all? It's your girl, Nick Robinson, back at it again with the Yara Effect. And we are here to discuss the last episode in season 1 of Bravo's Love Hotel. So it is checkout time, y'all. It's a wrap. So we see who the ladies end up choosing. But before we do that, we have to pick back up with the conversation that ended the last episode of, Earl and Shannon's disagreement or whatever over this storm situation. At the end of the day, I agree with what Gizelle said about the situation. I said it last week that Earl did not communicate what he needed from her at that time. You know what I mean? Especially when you're first getting to know somebody, they ain't gonna know what to do when you in crisis. Some people want to be left alone. Some people want somebody there holding their hand physically, literally. Some people want to deal with whatever their feelings are before talking about it. You just don't know. And so I encourage communication, thorough communication, and just go ahead and say what you mean and mean what you say so that it's plain. Make it easy for somebody to understand you, because if you can clearly communicate, if you can really, and this is something that's so important that I don't think people really get until there's a breakdown sometimes. If you cannot communicate, if you feel like you cannot ask someone for what it is that you need, the relationship is not going to work, period. I don't care how good of a person they are. I don't care, about none of that stuff. If the communication is not there, if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel like you can tell this person, hey, I need this, can you do this, and it's received well, it's not going to work, period. So let's get that on out the way. If you are embarking upon a new relationship and you're serious about it, let's say that, because if you are not serious, then this doesn't apply. But if you are truly trying to see if you can be with somebody, you have got to understand their communication styles, and they have to understand yours, and you guys have to find a way to effectively do that, because everybody's communication style is not the same. And if you guys don't have the same communication style, that is a problem. I know in my first marriage with my ex, our communication styles are very different. Like if we had a disagreement or something, I didn't want to go ahead on and attack at that time and handle it so that we are done with it and we can move on. He was different. He needed more time. Sometimes that time could mean later on in the day. Sometimes it could mean 2-3 days later. And I'm like, that's so off from what I need, and it was like, it just didn't work, right? And so we see with Shannon and Earl, they have the same communication style in that they don't clearly say what it is that they need. And here's an example of where when you see, even though y'all have the same communication style, it's not healthy for the relationship. But Joel gives them an opportunity to just go and talk, and they decide to just keep moving forward in the process, okay? Of course, the ladies don't agree with her to continue, but it's her journey. It's her decision. She's grown. So they just leave it at that. Joel tells them that whoever they decide to choose for overnights is who they will be pretty much ending the course of the stay with. Whoever they don't choose has to immediately check out of the Love Hotel. So Gizelle was like, wait a minute, hold on, because I don't want to see Phill or Theo go at this point. I want to continue to explore my connection with both of them. I want to split my time equally. And so Joel was like, we can accommodate that. And then Ashley is like, so I'm going to do the overnight with Wale, but I still want Ralph to be here the next day, so that I can still, have breakfast or brunch or whatever with him. So Joel was like, okay, cool. And then, of course, Luann chose James. We all knew that. But before she made her selection, he did give her a statement necklace, because she loves statement necklace. She loves those big, chunky, statement necklaces. And he went and got her one from somewhere. And she was like, oh, of course I'm going to choose James. So whatever. And then, of course, Earl is the only man that Shannon has been rocking with this whole time, and he decided to stay. So there's that. Did y'all forget about Mark and Mitch? I did, but no worries, they're gone now. They didn't match up with anybody, and they immediately checked out because their journey has come to an end. So moving on, Ashley starts her date with Wale, and they are on an ocean boat, overlooking the sea, you know, eating and just, they were getting to know each other a little better. Gizelle and Phil start off, and they have a spa type of date in an indoor pool area where they were just chilling and talking, and he got to see Gizelle in her bathing suit and everything. She got to see his body more. He's not in bad shape. I mean, he ain't in Ralph's shape. Phil isn't, but he's not all saggy and old looking on the body. So I mean, that helped, I'm sure. But like I said earlier on, Gizelle usually dates younger guys. I'm surprised that she kept him around as long as she did. I think the reason that she did is because of his financial status, basically, and he's easy. Like, he's like, oh, whatever you want to do, I'm good. He lets Gizelle just do what she wants to do. And she tells him that. She's like, I appreciate you letting me do this process how I feel comfortable, which is good. Because Gizelle, she's not going to run full steam ahead. She's just not. She's not that girl. Luann and James are at a restaurant eating, they're inside, where they're dressed nicely and everything. And then we see Shannon and Earl. They're doing a horseback ride on the beach. Very nice dates. I mean, any of those dates would be something that I myself would want to do. So, yeah, it was really cool. When it comes to Shannon and Earl, they're awkward because anytime after you have a fight, it is a bit awkward. But you can see Shannon, like, physically rolls her eyes at some of the things that Earl says and does. And so if you are that annoyed by somebody, in my opinion, it's like you don't really like their personality. You don't really like them as a person, at their core. So, I mean, the writing is on the wall. I just feel like Shannon didn't want to be there completely alone. That's what I feel like. I feel like she just wanted to continue the process and the show and not just be there completely alone, because none of the other men really appealed to her, nor did she really give them a chance to either. I mean, like, at one point she was kind of interested in James, I think, but it just kind of fizzled because he and Luann just kind of got together and stayed together. Okay, so Gizelle and Phil moved from the pool to like some chairs that are there, and they're having champagne and everything like that. And she actually gives him a peck. It wasn't no real kiss. It was just a peck, which is a lot for Gizelle. I'm surprised she did that. You know what I'm saying? So that looks promising, but it is what it is. Ashley and Wale are talking, and he blurts out that he loves her. I don't know what that means. Maybe it means he loves her personality or he loves her energy. I don't think it means like, oh, I'm in love with her or anything like that. Because I don't know. I mean, you can't put a time stamp on love. Like, you can't tell somebody, oh, whatever. But he says that he loves her. And I think it means he loves her personality. He loves her energy. It's obvious that he's into Ashley, and she's had a struggle choosing between Wale and Ralph. So, but she does open up to him more about her sexuality. She is bisexual, and he was like, I just find out more and more about her every day, and he's like, whatever. He doesn't care about it. But what man would? You know what I'm saying? Like, usually they don't really care about that unless there's some religious component that is very important to who they are as an individual. Usually men don't care about stuff like that. Luann and James get into more detail about the long distance of their relationship. I forgot that he lived on Maui, okay, in Hawaii. So he's all the way across the United States from Luann. Like, I mean, she is as far away from him as she can be in New York. And she's not trying to give up her life, and he's not trying to give up his. I mean, he was telling her, though, that he has family that's in, like, L.A. that he travels to see. And so he wants her to keep an open mind as to their relationship and their willingness to travel and see each other. He was saying that he had a long distance marriage for 24 years. I'm like, how does that work? I don't know. I don't know, and I can't say what's right or wrong in somebody's marriage as far as what they decide to do, but I don't know how you can sustain a long distance marriage for 24 years. Now, I don't know what the distance was between him and that woman in that relationship, but that's just crazy. I mean, I don't know. I want to be able to have my partner with me more often than not. And, that's just me, but it worked for 24 years. That's a lot longer than some people's marriages last, and they are there day to day. And then he had another relationship that lasted a year that was long distance. So he knows how to do long distance. Luann also knows how to do long distance because she was saying her relationship with the count that she was married to was long distance as well. So they're going to keep an open mind basically about what they're going to do when it comes to their long distance relationship. Let's see. Gizelle is now splitting her time with Theo, and they have dinner, and it was cute. It was really cute in there, and the food looked amazing. Ashley and Wale are looking down at Gizelle as she's having her dinner with Theo, and they're just talking, chilling, chopping it up or whatever. Shannon and Earl are moving their day into the presidential suite where they are now having dinner. And, it's just, he's just not for her. I mean, Shannon is very prim and proper. She's one of those, like, older ladies that feel certain things should and should not be done. It just takes me back to when they were on the boat and she was mad because he had his shirt off. He's just not as polished as a man that I feel that she would appreciate, right? But with that polish and all of that, where's the fun? I don't know that Shannon really ever just let her hair down and have fun. Being that I don't watch Real Housewives of OC where she's from, I mean, is fun even a requirement of hers? I don't know. So, but yeah, they just hit me as awkward basically at this point, and she's just, like I said, trying to finish up a show. Luann, after she and James have dinner, he's giving her what looks like a really relaxing foot rub. I mean, whatever oil that was that he had, I want to know because it stayed, like oily, and that's like one of the best parts of a foot massage, the slipperiness and the oiliness of what's going on with the rubbing and the massaging. So of course their scene ends with them like falling on the bed and like really just going at it with each other and stuff, and so you can tell that their relationship seems to be further along than the other relationships. Dare I say they've been physical. They may have been, because the man is professing his love for Luann like none other, and that usually does not come before the physical has occurred. So we're just gonna leave that right there. As Shannon and Earl are talking, he admits that he needs to open up more, And when they are at the age that they are, let's just be honest, it's hard to change because you're so used to how you do things and you're so used to what's comfortable to you. And I mean, you don't even have to be as old as they are. They're in their 60s. You don't even have to be as old as they are for change to be challenging, right? One of the things that I've learned in life is you got to have some flexibility. Flexibility is what allows you to grow, shift, change, move with how life goes, because life doesn't stay steady all the time. It just doesn't. No matter what we do, it's never just at a standstill. If you're at a standstill, that means you're no longer here. You're no longer alive. And so every day that we wake up, we have different challenges that we may face. We have different things we may have to, adjust. And flexibility is one of those things that you just gotta have, right? So if you want a different result in your life, you have to be able to bend and change and move. And Earl was saying how he'd been through a lot in his life. And when you've been through a lot, sometimes it's hard to trust. It's hard to move in a different direction that you're not comfortable with. But I can tell he wants to, but I don't know if it's enough. I just don't. Um, Theo and Gizelle are talking, and he's talking about the fact that he has a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old boy and girl. And Gizelle was like, she's okay with him having kids that are younger because she said her kids are gone now, and she wants kids that pretty much still need like some parental guidance or whatever. She ain't trying to be nobody's mama or replace nobody's mama, but she's okay basically with him having kids that are younger than hers. Phil, his son is around the same age as her oldest daughter, so they're in the same place. So she makes it clear she's okay with the kid situation when it comes to Theo. Um, Ashley talks more with Wale, and he was saying how he didn't know that her ex-husband was Michael Darby. And if you didn't know, he's an older white man that Ashley was married to. She has her 2 children with him. And he was saying, I'm not your type at all. And Ashley was like, no, I have a wide spectrum of my type. Like, there's no... She said it's more about if you're smart and sexy and, your qualities more so than your gender, even your ethnicity, your race. None of that matters to her, is what she was saying. And so she told him he was smart and sexy, and she gave him compliments as to why she's into him. And she said the only thing she needs from him is more passion. And so he was like, well, I got it for you, and they kiss and everything like that. So but at the end of the night, she does reveal that Wale did leave her room. So I'm really proud of Ashley. I'm gonna say this because I really expected Ashley to just wow out. Her saying that she wants monogamy now more than anything, and she wants like a stable relationship and stuff. I've seen her carry that out in her actions in this show. I'm really proud of Ashley. If you're not familiar with Ashley, Ashley was a wild child, okay? But because she has lived that life, she understands now what she wants. And I see her walking in that. So I'm very proud of the growth that we've seen in Ashley. Because, when she first came on Potomac, she was young. She was, fiery and stuff like that. And she still has that fire, but it's contained now. Instead of it being like a forest fire, it's like a campfire now. So I really appreciate the growth that we see in her. So here we are. We get to the final day, and it's checkout time basically. So the ladies are down there talking with Joel, and the men are wherever they are, maybe their rooms or whatever. And they were talking about how something must have happened between Earl and Shannon out on the balcony, and Ashley presumes what occurs. You gotta watch the episode to see that because I ain't gonna say it on here. But she assumes what happens out on the balcony between Earl and Shannon. Obviously, they were audible, and Shannon didn't, go into detail. And then Luann was like, "Well, a lady never kisses and tells," but she does reveal that James is packing. Okay, so he wasn't lying about that. So those two ladies really have gone much further than Ashley and Gizelle with the men that they're there with, because Gizelle just gave Phill a peck. I didn't see any real physical anything between Gizelle and Theo. And then Ashley has made it clear that she's only kissed the 2 men that she's dealing with. So okay, let's see. Ashley does have a final breakfast with Ralph, and they talk and everything. And so, it's really nothing going on there. They are just basically solidifying what they have. So, okay. Oh yeah, Ashley does tell both the men that she's still legally married, and Ralph is just like, everybody's life is messy, whatever, it is what it is. Wale is like, okay, you're working through getting out of the marriage, so it is what it is. They're both pretty cool with it. Honestly speaking, there was time between when I separated from my husband and actually got divorced. It was 3 years. You know what I'm saying? It happens. When I separated from my ex, I moved almost 2 hours away shortly after that. So was I dating while I was still like legally married? Yeah, I was. It happens, y'all. The only thing I would say is, like in my situation, the only thing I was doing was co-parenting with my ex, and he lived almost 2 hours away. So it was very clear that we were not sharing residences anymore. I was moved on with my life. He had already moved on with his. That's what ended the marriage. Okay, so I would just say, if you're in a situation with someone who is divorcing, just be sure that they're actually divorcing and it's not just another break. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say with that. Um, so now we get to um where they choosing the men basically, and Luann is up first. Her and James, I don't know if they did it on purpose, but they were matching. And of course, they checked out together. No surprise there. And then we have Gizelle. She tells Phil that she's not checking out with him. And he tells her, that's cool. I trust your judgment. We can be friends and I'm cool with that. Phil is very just, I guess, securing himself. He's not worried. He's like, okay, no harm, no foul. Um, she chooses Theo because she feels he's a better fit for what she wants in a relationship. Okay, that's what's up. So Shannon, of course, her and Earl choose to check out together. And then Ashley, she meets with Wale first. And she tells him that she can't check out with him. He reveals to her, I wrote you a letter in advance. And because he knew that she wasn't going to check out with him. I knew she wasn't going to check out with him because when I saw the preview and she was like, did I make the right decision? I knew she was acting that way because she did not choose Wale, even though she really likes Wale. Okay. I knew the kid situation was what had her second guessing going forward with him. And it's fair. I'm sorry, y'all. It's fair. I get where she's coming from with it. It is what it is. Sometimes it's the right person, wrong timing. That's what it is. And the man, if he wants children of his own, he deserves to have them. Also, what he was saying and communicating regarding being her children's stepdad wasn't really favorable, if you will. He wasn't like welcoming in a sense to me. It was kind of like, I'll do it if I have to because she has kids, but it's not something that he was already open to as far as being a stepdad to children and having to deal with the dynamic of, the father still being involved and co-parenting with the lady that he's with. I can tell he's not really into that. Being that he's Nigerian, a lot of times they have cultural differences than us. And so that may be a factor. I don't know. He didn't say. But yeah, he already knew that Ashley was not going to choose him. And his letter, implied that and said that. So, yeah, she was crying when Raph came down. She had to get herself together real quick. And she chose him, of course. And, that's the end, basically. They did give us an update, which I'm so glad that they did because I didn't want to have to go Google and see what happened. Basically, Gizelle and Theo had made plans to meet in New York City, but they never happened. Theo lost his phone. Okay, so I'm sitting here like, okay, whatever. But she's still talking to Phil, and she's planning on going to go see him in Beverly Hills. Bel Air. So they're still cool, and she's gonna see where they can go, I guess, when it comes to a friendship, because I don't really think Gizelle can be in a relationship with Phil. I really don't. Shannon and Earl spent time in Orange County as well as Georgia. But a couple months after they checked out, Shannon realized that he is not her guy. He's just not. I mean, I could have told Shannon that, okay? I said it a long time ago. He's a good guy. He's just not the guy for her. Ashley, was asked if she made the right decision before she left, and she hesitated. That says a lot. As we see, the relationship between her and Ralph fizzled quickly. I mean, I feel like if Ashley continued to hold out sexually, he was out of there, because he obviously wanted to hit that PYT. He did. Who wouldn't? He's 60 some years old. She half his age basically. He wanted to hit that, and I don't think she just let him hit it after they left, and so that's why it fizzled. And then Ashley and Wale are still in communication. So, yeah, there's that. But I still don't think it's going to work, because it's too big of a compromise when it comes to kids. It just is. And nobody should be made to compromise to that level. So, yeah, they're going to stay cool, but I don't foresee a relationship unless one of them forgoes a huge decision in that regard. And then Luann and James, they're still in love and, making time for each other. So that's it. That is the end of the first season of Love Hotel. What do you guys think about it? I thought it was a cute show. A lot happened in those few short episodes. I'm glad they did not drag it out. I think that they ended it in 8 episodes, and it was good, because this is one of those mini shows that Bravo does that's kind of like a spinoff, and bring in kind of like Ultimate Girls Trip, when they bring like cast members from different franchises together and they experience something together, and then that's it. I wonder if they're going to have a season 2, when they're going to have a season 2, and who they're going to bring on. Who would you like to see on Love Hotel? That's it, guys. That's all I have. I hope you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good things. I appreciate it so, so much. Thank you. I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.